This was insane to witness. Last night, or I guess yesterday afternoon against the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Mavericks ran PJ Washington as a small ball five in their starting lineup. It's probably their 30th unique starting lineup just since the All-Star break. That's being a little bit sarcastic, but you get the idea. We've talked about this before. We're running almost different lineups almost every night. And this one was especially interesting to me, and it was especially wild to witness because on Friday night, if you'll remember, we played at home at the AAC against the same Cleveland Cavaliers team, and we got it absolutely handed to us, right? In fact, we lost by 33 on Friday night. So here we are. 2 days later, we go play in Cleveland, same team that beat us up, a lesser version of our starting lineup. And we come out and we put up 130 on their heads. I think that took an insane amount of mental toughness to make that happen. Not just because we were coming off of a 33-point loss, but again, because we're trying some stuff with our lineups. So with all of the ups and downs with our lineups, all of the different tinkering that's happening right now, the Mavericks found the wherewithal to go put it to one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, fresh off of a loss on Friday night. So I thought that was really, really interesting. I don't know if this is going to be something that we run with consistently or if we're simply just trying stuff for tanking purposes. But if it was for tanking purposes that we did that yesterday, we're going to have to try harder. We're going to have to try something else that is a little bit less effective. PJ Washington had 20 points, 11 rebounds, and a nice little double-double, 5 steals. Right, so we're going to talk more about that interesting lineup change here in just a moment. But yeah, we're also going to talk about tonight's game against the New Orleans Pelicans. We're going to talk a little bit of draft stuff, not a ton, but just a little bit, okay? Especially now that the brackets are set. But yeah, packed agenda for a Monday afternoon episode. I am your host, Ethan, the Advisor Clayton. Welcome to the party. And by party, I mean dope podcast. This is Your Mavs, a Dallas Mavericks podcast where all are welcome. Y'all better behave. You hear me? Okay. Let's just jump right in here. Why don't we? But yeah, let's go back to the PJ Washington stuff. I'm not going to tell you anything that you haven't already heard all of the other Dallas Mavericks personalities talk about already. Okay. They've all said it. I think I'll just recap it very briefly. This was probably PJ's best game of the season. Definitely the best game of 2026. If he can mess around and do really, really well in a small ball five type of role, then I am a lot more open to keeping him long-term. And here's why. If we were going to continue starting PJ Washington at the 3, you look at his shooting numbers, right? There's a certain prerequisite or expectation for people that start at the 3. And that's that you got to be able to shoot the ball a little bit. Okay, so you look at his shooting splits and you're like, uh-oh, not good. In fact, this has even been a down year. We know that PJ Washington can shoot. He just hasn't done it this season. And that's very, very bad for a 3. Now, sometimes if we're looking at somebody starting at the 4, there's a little bit less expectation about what their shooting splits would look like because that's not really what they're on the floor for usually. But PJ Washington, even for a 4, cannot shoot worth a flip, okay? As a 5, however, I think that might be his ideal role. I don't know. We only have a 1-game sample size for this, so please let me just continue overreacting to this one lineup change. But PJ Washington at the 5. Ironically, you have to respect him more as a shooter because as a 5 at 6'9", that's hitting 31% from 3, and he takes 3 or 4 a game. You have to give that a little bit of respect. Whereas if our normal starting center, Daniel Gafford, was in his normal spot, he hasn't shot a 3-pointer in probably his entire career. Definitely not this season. And even if he did, you wouldn't have any respect for it. You wouldn't expect it to go in. So I think this could be an ideal role for PJ Washington. We'll just have to see. But, spreading the floor with PJ at the 5, Cooper at the 4, that worked really, really well, right? They were both crashing the boards hard. PJ Washington is obviously not tall enough to be a true 5, but he's strong. He's built. He was putting a body on Evan Mobley and really, like after what Evan Mobley did to us on Friday night, like with Marvin Bagley in the starting lineup, he gave Bagley all that he could possibly handle. That was not a good matchup for him. So in yesterday's game, Bagley only played about 15 minutes, and that was whenever Evan Mobley wasn't on the floor. So any good things that came from yesterday's game, you could attribute to PJ Washington crashing the boards, playing solid defense, stretching the floor as a small ball five. We were running with pace. We were getting out in fast breaks. We were doing a lot of fun stuff that we frankly have not seen from the Mavericks in a very long time. And for us to put up 130 on the road, again, after a loss from the same team, I think that's pretty killer. Okay? We got to win every now and then. But after the Mavericks taking their two of their last three as wins, I have 2 words, 6 letters. Right? It's the message that I have to the Mavericks. You don't even have to write this down because the message is, stop it. Stop winning games. Now, I'm partially joking, and I'm quoting Bob Newhart, R.I.P., hilarious stand-up comedian. That was one of his skits. It's him as a psychologist. He'd hear crazy people saying a bunch of things to him like, this is happening. He's like, stop it. Have you ever thought about stopping? Stop it, right? So that's what I'm saying to the Mavericks as they build a little momentum, as they start to find themselves again. Stop it. We don't want to win any more games. So if we're going to win, however, let me take a quick step back. If we're going to win, it needs to look like what it looked like on Sunday afternoon. What I mean by that is Cooper Flagg doing Cooper Flagg things, right? He now has 2 games in a row with 25 points or more. On Sunday against the Cavaliers, he showed his playmaking chops and put up double-digit assists. You love to see that. So if it's Cooper Flagg figuring things out, leveling up his game, exercising his playmaking chops, hitting shots that he hasn't been hitting over the past week and a half, I'm fine with it, right? Those are the kinds of wins you're kind of okay with. And I got to say, let's talk about Cooper Flagg for a quick second. Our guy is back. Like, he is back. And to be fair, guys, like, whenever you come back from a foot injury, whenever you come back from 3 weeks of missing NBA action, fast-paced NBA action with the best athletes in the world, you can't expect a rookie to just come back and pick right up where they left off. Totally fine. But I was starting to see people showing concern about Cooper Flagg. Like, did he lose his shot? Did he lose his confidence? And, I'll be honest, like, I had that thought for just a quick second. But on Friday night, I think everything kind of came back to a head here. He had one play where he drove to the hoop aggressively, and he had one of those posterizing type of dunks where he just, I think, like, we're calling it the LeBron tomahawk dunk, because that's what a lot of people are comparing to him to now. And I'm totally a fan of that comparison, by the way. Anywho, he goes and he slams it with authority. And in my mind, that was the moment that Cooper Flagg was officially back, because since then, he is shooting the ball much, much better. Now, he's still trying to get as many shots in the paint as possible. He'll settle for an elbow jumper or, a 15, 16-foot midi. But he refuses to shoot three-pointers at this moment. And I guess it's okay. But I think for the remainder of this season, if I'm looking for one thing from Cooper Flagg, it's, hey, I want you to just start, like, letting a rip from the three-point line. Like, you've improved literally every other part of your game so far this season. You've been playing out of position. Your best minutes on the floor have been whenever there's been another point guard with you. The whole idea of having a playmaker, a table setter with you on the court is that you can get good looks and you can take them confidently. You can take them open when you are open. Let a rip, pal, right? That's what I want to see from Cooper Flagg moving forward. But I am so happy that he is feeling himself again. You'll love to see it. A couple other quick things about I keep saying last night, about yesterday afternoon's game before we talk about what happened tonight. It was a great Najee and PJ game on Sunday afternoon. Like, we already talked about PJ running the small ball 5, running our 15th different starting lineup since the All-Star break. It freed up guys to do things that they do best, right? Because, again, whenever you have PJ at the small ball 5, there's naturally more spacing on the floor. That gave Najee more space to go drive to the hoop. Funny how that works. Craziness. now it's got me thinking like, hey, as I look at the draft and all the prospects, like where are our small ball 4 and 5s? Like, can we like pinpoint those guys and bring in as many as humanly possible? Anyway, let's move on. Last comment on the game against the Cavaliers. John Pulakidis. I guess I've been saying his name incorrectly. What I did was whenever we signed him, I Googled it. I was like, how do you say his name correctly? And Google said that it was Pulakidis. But everyone that I've heard talking about it, including the play-by-play commentators in the game yesterday, were saying Pulakidis. So that's what I'm going to say moving forward until he comes and makes a public service announcement like, yo, stop saying my name wrong. Anyway, he came out. He was 4 of 6 from the field, 2 of 4 from the three-point line, 10 points. He looked automatic. He looked confident. And I like what he brings to the game because he is a shooter. He's a lefty shooter, a southpaw, if you will. But he's got size. He's got size to him. So you like at the 2 guard, he's going to be a mismatch pretty well constantly, right? And I like that look for him. Fire away, John. Do more of that tonight. Okay, now let's switch gears. We've looked in the rearview mirror. Now let's look ahead. In this week, we have 3 basketball games. We're going to play the New Orleans Pelicans tonight, Monday. We're going to play the Atlanta Hawks Wednesday, and then the Los Angeles Clippers on Saturday. What do I think our record is going to be during these next 3 games? I think we're going to be 0-3, right? Not because, okay, well, we're just straight up. I'm not going to even go into like waxing poetic about it. We're going to go 0-3 in the next 3 games. We are 7th in the lottery odds, so we jumped up to 6th. Then we fell back down after we won 2 of our last 3. So it is urgent. It is very important for us to lose these next few games. I don't think we'll have to try very hard to lose to the Hawks or the Clippers, but the Pelicans, it might take a little bit of effort. However, recently, DeJounte Murray, whenever he returned from his Achilles tear, he has been fantastic on both sides of the ball. So I don't think he's playing tonight. I think he's questionable last I looked. But if he is, the combination of Trey Murphy and DeJounte Murray, maybe like we won't have to try very hard to lose because those guys can put the ball in the hoop, no questions about it. But yeah, again, it is very, very important for us to start losing games again. As good as it might be for our mentals to win 2 of the last 3 games, like I don't want to see any more of it, at least this week. Maybe next week, but not this week. So let's just jump right in here into you heard it here first. We do have a game in New Orleans at 7 p.m. Central Time. It's a very important game because we are only 1 game ahead of the Pelicans in the standings. So in the lottery standings, that is. It would be bad for us to be ahead of them either way, but like we need to lose tonight's game. So here's what I think is going to happen. We're going to lose 113-106. It'll be a competitive game, start to finish, but we're going to see Trey Murphy III put up 35 points on us. Now that is assuming, as I make that prediction, that is assuming that DeJounte Murray will not play tonight. I haven't gotten the latest report. I'm not going to look at it right now while I'm trying to record, but Trey Murphy III will score 35 on us. It's got to be a 1-2 punch between Trey Murphy and Zion. And right now, Trey Murphy is shooting the lights out from the 3-point line. And guys, looking ahead at this week, the games that I just told you about a moment ago, I've got my eyes on 2 players in particular as potential future Mavericks. These guys are going to be like more realistic types of trade targets, even though I say realistic, the Pelicans have said under no uncertain circumstances will we accept offers for Trey Murphy. But that's what they said at the trade deadline. We'll see what they say this summer, right? Maybe we can offer a couple of guys and a draft pick for Trey Murphy. I think that player archetype would look really good next to Coop. But anyway, this week it's Murph and Nickeil Alexander-Walker that I've got my eyes on. Those guys I want as Dallas Mavericks. But yeah, Murph is going to score 35 tonight without really even breaking a sweat. Maybe like 7 of 10 from the 3-point line. Okay? Just keep an eye on that guy. Cooper Flagg, I mentioned he now has 2 games in a row with 25 points or more. I think he continues that streak tonight. He may even be pushing 35, but I'm not going to draw that line in the sand. But where I will draw the line in the sand for Cooper Flagg is that he will have a 25-point double-double. I love seeing the playmaking chops last night. He's been rebounding the ball well lately. So I do expect a double-double, whether it's assists or rebounds. I don't think we're getting that triple-double quite yet, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. He will have not one, but 2 triple-doubles before the end of the season. He's just really starting to figure it out, right? The playmaking, the rebounding. Like I think he's got it, guys. The last thing, and this, maybe I should have looked at the injury report before I recorded. I'm hoping that Daniel Gafford returns tonight because, like I said last week, he tends to just beat up on bad teams. And as far as bad teams are concerned, the Pelicans are pretty bad, and they don't have a great starting level center that can put a body on Daniel Gafford to keep him off the boards or keep him from catching an oop or anything like that. So I do think Gafford is going to have a 20-point double-double tonight. So that's not 1, but 2 Dallas Mavericks with 20-plus points in a double-double. You heard it here first. Go ahead and book it. Now, really quickly, as we wrap up today's episode, I do want to mention the brackets are set. Yesterday was Selection Sunday. I haven't even had a chance to look at all the brackets or fill one out yet, but you better believe I'm going to, and I'm going to talk about it on this show because we only have 3 games this week, and one of them is against the Pelicans. So we got to have something fun and interesting to talk about. But in an upcoming show, probably tomorrow, yeah, let's just go ahead and do that line in the sand. Tomorrow, in tomorrow's episode, I'm going to talk about some top Mavs targets for you guys to keep your eyes on during the March Madness. And I'm not going to talk about any players that are in the NIT. So nobody cares about the NIT. But we're gonna look at the big dance. We're gonna look at the guys that probably fall in that 6 to 9 range, the 28 to 30 range for our second first round pick, and then the 48 to 50 range for our second round pick. So I've got a list of 9 guys. Maybe I should just add one more and call it a clean 10 to keep an eye on. Obviously, we could talk about DeBonsa. We could talk about Darren Peterson. We could talk about Keaton Wagler until we're blue in the face. But really, the guys that I'm going to talk about in the next episode are guys that could fall in that 6 to 9, 28 to 30, and 48 to 50 range. So you're going to want to tune in for that one. I've told you this before. My dad has been doing an insane amount of research. He's been watching all of the games, and he's been giving me a lot of really good information about not just players that are starting to pop right now, but player types that we should be keeping our eyes on, because the goal is we want to find the ideal roster to build around Cooper Flagg. So yeah, it's cool to talk about what would it look like to have Cade Cunningham and Anthony Edwards next to Cooper Flagg. But really, those guys were drafted and built up the right way by their team. They, their rosters had to suffer for a little bit, and now those teams have obviously had some playoff success recently. The Mavericks need to have a similar playbook. We need to do really, really well in this draft because we're not going to have a lot of draft picks over the next 5-6 years. So, yeah, we have to talk about it a lot. Okay, but I can't really talk anymore. I don't know if you can tell. I'm starting to lose my voice. We are closing this Friday for our new house. So there's a lot going on in our world over here, but don't let me complain. I still got both of my eyes on the Dallas Mavericks, and I'm going to talk about them. So let's get the energy up. Let's get the community going. Let's get the comments flowing here, right? Y'all think the PJ Washington at the small ball 5 is a bad idea? Did you enjoy it? Did you actually enjoy watching the Dallas Mavericks for the first time in a long time yesterday? Are you excited to watch them play the Pelicans, or are you ready to start seeing them lose again? Just let me know what you're thinking. Tell me how you're feeling in the comment section. But before you leave, make sure you hit like, subscribe, all of that jazz. Let's build this community. Let's keep on partying on, fam. Y'all be good.